Well, Alan, thank you. Of all the introductions I've ever received, that was the most recent. Um, so I'm a Rotarian. When I was serving in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, I was a Rotary member there for 20 years, and I don't think I've been to a meeting since I moved to Nebraska. But I'm having flashbacks. First of all, I continue to suck at raffles. It's not. I'm so impressed. You won, Al. This is finally some success for you. Happy for you. The other thing is I rediscovered my lapel pin fetish. These are the 5 that I still have. My car was broken into a few years ago, and they took some of my rotary buttons, but not all of them. I don't know why. I can imagine them looking in the jar. Past president, nah. But so these are the ones that remain. And finally, Jim, it's Kelly who's the president, right? Okay. Would you tell Kelly that the salad bar was a catastrophe? Okay, see, here's the thing. It should be, all right-minded Rotarians know, it's green salad dressing toppings. Otherwise, the toppings fall off, and it's you know, it was all I could do not to scream when I went through this. But so Al, this is something you can give your attention to when you're president, and you can start running a tight ship around here. So Jeff, we can start my presentation. This is an abbreviated presentation. I made a presentation to the National Gathering of Presbyterian Women 3 years ago, and I am proud to say it was picketed by some members of the Westboro Baptist Church in Wichita, Kansas. Those people drove 700 miles to hold up signs like this. The nice thing about them, and that's an interesting, I'm just going to let that sentence, the nice thing about the Westborons, they run on time, they sing in tune, and they let you take their pictures. They're unashamed about being these bigots. So they let me take that picture, and I love to say that they came, 700 miles to protest my presentation. It was really Presbyterian women in general. They were protesting because Presbyterian women do things like cut their hair, which, as we all know, Leviticus forbids. So can we have the next slide? We'll see what else is here. Okay, so this is me. Yeah, I'm a lifelong Rotarian, or not a lifelong Rotarian, I'm a lifelong Presbyterian. I was a 20-year Rotarian in Oshkosh. I got to go to Copenhagen, where I learned the Danish word for cheese, which is ost. So never ask a Danish person who's posing for a picture, say cheese. You do that once. I've been a Presbyterian minister for a little more than 30 years, and I've written a humor column for a Lutheran magazine. And okay, who's Lutheran here? Okay, no Lutheran have ever found it incongruous that why does a non-Lutheran write our humor? I mean that in the best possible way to my brothers in Christ. Okay, let's have another one here, Jeff. Okay, so this is, you're all Peorians, so you probably know all of this. Richard Pryor, I'm extraordinarily proud to graduate from the high school that expelled Richard Pryor. He was named the #1 comedian of all time 4 years ago by Rolling Stone. And I was the class clown at Washington Grade School a couple hundred years ago. I'm not sure you can see the quip there with the background, but Miss Burnett, my 5th grade math teacher, was also my 5th grade English teacher. And once she was doing a spelling test, and the word was problem. And so she was in a sentence, she said, put the math problem on the board, which I said, Miss Burnett, you won't fit. Yeah, so we'll move on, Jeffrey. So that's who I used to be. And then you can see who I am now. Yeah, I turned 50, got gray hair, and I'm not a smartass anymore. I'm a satirist. It's the same act, but you age into it, and yeah, and you can stand before Rotary clubs and talk about this sort of thing. So we'll move on. Would you like a better cue than that, Jeff? I mean, we'll move on is fine with me. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. If I had a stick, that'd be more fun. Oh, this? Let's see. What do I point it at? I'm going to point it at you. Well, okay, so the next slide. Fibber, McGee, and Molly, if you're of a certain age, you remember them. They were the #1 comedy radio show in the 30s, and they got their start in Peoria. They were discovered in Chicago. They walked into the radio station in Chicago and said, the people who do your comedy show, we're funnier than they are. And they said, okay, you can do it. We'll pay you $10 a week. And it took, ooh, that flashed the lights. Look at this. Okay, thank you. So you can eat. Great. Okay, so yeah, I went to the University of Chicago and I wrote my thesis. It was called Toward a Theology of Laughter. And I had to study laughter as a phenomenon of appreciation for humorous incongruity. Okay, because it was the University of Chicago, and you can't say laugh at something funny. So every other place in life, I talk about laughter as a response to something that's funny. I've had humor columns written in some other. Who else subscribes to Presbyterian Outlook? Anyone? There, we have one. No, you raised your hand for being Lutheran 2 minutes ago. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I wrote this book, which I talked about, I think, last time I was here. This is the cover I wanted. Now, they could have gotten this cover free because the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel is in the public domain. Okay. I pulled my finger. It's not in the original text. But so here's a quiz. Read Tom's mind. There are 3 things I want you to notice about that picture. We'll get to that. Okay. Anyone? Anyone? Alan, one thing I want you to notice.
Adam's left-handed.
Adam is left-handed. The first human being left-handed. Okay. Second, this one's subtle. Adam had a belly button. Right. Adam was made of the dust of the earth. We're Genesis 2, right? Dust of the earth. And so I had one of the Presbyterian women said, well, after God made Adam, God gave him one of those Pillsbury Doughboy things. And, I told her she was completely wrong and probably deluded, which Presbyterian women take pretty well, I was surprised to say. The third thing, Adam is circumcised. Okay. Adam is the only human being on earth. It was a selfie. Okay? And if you ever want to make a room full of Presbyterian women happy, tell them that. They love it. So there is some content here, some things that you really can take away besides my silliness. Everyone laughs in the same language. No one has to be taught how to laugh. Everyone is born knowing how to laugh. It is truly a universal language. That slide will not stay in place. I don't know. Watch this. There it goes. But what the slide says is one thing that sets extremists apart from other people. It's not the content of their ideology. It's that they hold it so seriously, and they cannot laugh at themselves. Extremists cannot laugh at themselves. And I used to say, no one ever walked into a crowded Middle Eastern marketplace and said, I could be wrong, and then set off an explosion, right? And someone said that reinforced stereotypes. And so instead it's Timothy McVeigh, who said he was a Christian, didn't say I could be wrong before blowing up the Murrah building. It's not that he was a Christian or anything, he was an extremist. And if you ever want to find out, is this person an extremist, see if they can laugh at themselves. Because if you can laugh at yourself, you can see yourself from a different perspective. And that's something extremists of all kinds don't have. Laughter always comes at someone's expense. I love this. There is always a target in humor. There is always something to laugh at. Immediate laughter is always in the first sentence. I give you the exceptions. That makes it memorable. Verbal humor doesn't come at anyone's expense. Hear this, Alan? You love puns? Here's why we groan at puns. There's no one is diminished, no one is insulted, brought down by a pun. There's no pain in puns. So, because pain is essential for humor to take place, we have to introduce pain, which is why we groan to acknowledge a pun. I can't prove it, but I know it's true. And we've been groaning at puns since the time of Plato. So I don't know if that's innate, but it's really long-standing. I think I've got, okay, good. This is remember The Far Side? 35 years ago when I was in seminary, I got to read The Far Side every day and call it research because I was studying humor. So I was a pretty good student when it came to that. Anyway, the Far Side cartoon from a long time ago, if you can't read the caption, I'll supply it. And for the rest of his life, the young reptile suffered deep emotional scars. There's a hideous boy holding a snake, chasing an even more hideous girl with dreadlocks, bad teeth. Is that a moo-moo? So I hold this up as something we can study for humor. There are lots of things to laugh at in this comic. The characters are grotesque, but I think the thing that's funny, I think what Gary Larson is trying to have us get out of this is, the funny thing is it's from the snake's perspective. No one expect the perspective of the cartoon to be the snake, and that's the incongruity. The other thing, as I was looking at this more closely last week, I realized for some reason, and for the rest of his life, the young reptile suffered deep emotional scars, is funnier than if he'd said, and for the rest of his life, the snake suffered deep emotional. I don't know why, but the young reptile makes it even funnier. That's the sort of thing that happens when you have too much education. So one of the things that laughter does is it expresses distance. You can laugh at something when you don't laugh in the moment. Someday we'll look back at this and laugh, which is what Springsteen sang in Rosalita. And then in, who was it, Mike, the guy who talked about how wonderful his wife is? Mike? Yeah. Go home and read, is he still here or he left? You're way in the back.
I never said.
Yeah, well, so are you Presbyterian? We can take care of that. We can make you Presbyterian like that. Read the last bit of the book of Proverbs, the 31st chapter of Proverbs, starting at verse 10. It's a hymn of praise to the Eshet Hayil, Hebrew. It's the capable woman, the strong woman, the ideal woman. One of the things she's described as being able to do is laugh at the times to come. She's not threatened. She can laugh them off, because she's got distance and she's not threatened or harmed by them. So another thing you can take home, the speaker today quoted both the Hebrew scriptures and Bruce Springsteen on the same slide. It might be unprecedented. Okay, or it's never happened before. You decide. So these are my sons. Many years ago, we're eating dim sum. And I'll explain dim sum. At this restaurant, the ladies, the waitresses drive around with carts, and they stop at tables and you point at the little dishes you want, and they put them on your table and they mark your card, and they're little. You get a little portion of something and you don't know what it is, but because it's little, you can try it. If you don't like it, you're not committed to it. It's not your entree. And the lady's going to come along in a minute and bring you something else. So dim sum, I love this picture because one son looks like he's really having a great meal, and the other one looks completely indifferent. Okay, life is a lot like dim sum. Okay, sometimes you're going to love, sometimes you're not, but the lady's going to come along with the cart in just a minute with something new for you to try. Okay, so same picture, different point. The guy who got me into Rotary saw this picture and asked me, where were you? And I said, the Jade Dragon. And he said, no, where were you? I said, Canal Street. And he said, where were you? And I said, China Town. And he completely lost it. Where were you? Manhattan. Okay. He wanted to know what city I was in. Okay. He asked, we're both native English speakers, right? Okay. He asked the same question 4 times. I answered it accurately 4 times before he got the information he wanted. So remember, it's hard to communicate. When you don't ever complain about the communication's good around here, the miracle is we ever communicate. Okay? But never send me an email that's too long, because I will not read it, and I will hit reply and I'll say, thank you, Leo Tolstoy. I have my limits. So so life is like dim sum. I get to show that picture 3 times, and now this is a picture about 3 years ago. They insisted that I show a picture that they have grown. And again, the younger one looks happy, and he's the one who won't eat anything. It's like, Dad, that food has 2 colors. I can't eat it. Okay, so let's see what's next. Yes, okay. A little more content here. Laughter is involuntary communication. A really good actor can laugh believably. It's really hard. And I'm sure this is true. I either read it on the internet or I know it's true. You can tell when someone is not laughing sincerely, even if you've never heard that person laugh before. So it is involuntary. That's important. It is also communication. Laughter is a way we communicate. Babies laugh before they can speak. And young children laugh a lot more frequently than adults. And people are more likely to laugh in groups. If I were giving this presentation to one person, or worse, just to a camera, you wouldn't laugh. I mean, if you're watching this at home tonight, on Facebook streamed, you probably wouldn't laugh, because laughter is a profoundly social thing. One of the things it says is, yeah, I find this funny too. And when you laugh with someone, it brings you together. Sociologists have found that groups that laugh together before starting on a task are more productive than groups that just get down to business. So I think the next, yes, this is the slide I hope you can hear. We can get it to hear. I could bring the microphone over there, Jeff, if that would help. That's the only thing I can think to. There's Jim. You think he's going to turn on the sound. He's telling the kitchen staff about the salad bar. Before he forgets. Just play it. Even if we don't get the sound, it'll be effective. It's a little more fun with the sound. Oh, you're a genius. Thank you. No, Jeff, not you. Okay, I'm going to stop it right there because it turns into a Coke commercial. Okay, so that was shot on a subway in Belgium. Okay, and some of you were laughing. I heard laughing. What was so funny? What were you laughing at? You don't know, and it really doesn't matter, does it? So what were you laughing at, Brent?
Well, it looks like me, I guess, from my compadres around here. They said it looked like me. I didn't see it.
Yeah, Brent just said compadres, so just expanding our horizons.
You've opened up my linguistic ability.
Yeah, I do that a lot. But it just goes to show how profoundly social laughter is. I've had occasions where I've walked into a group of people who just heard the punchline, and everyone's laughing. I don't know at what, but I joined them in laughing. And that's the kind of laughter that's really hard to suppress, right? I mean, you've probably been at a funeral, or you've seen someone at a funeral. You've seen the Mary Tyler Moore episode, right, where she starts to laugh uncontrollably at a funeral at an appropriate time. And it's hard to stop because it's involuntary. Somebody forgot to silence their electronic devices. Why? You did. In fact, I silenced mine like a good Rotarian. But there isn't like a cattle prod or anything up here to punish that. Someone should pay a fine or something. We'll move on. So, okay, so it's interesting. There has to be, you have to have something in common. I mean, for me to stand up in front of this group, you barely know me. You know my brother, which probably works against me. But for you to laugh, you have to have some rapport. There has to be something in common between me and you. I was a Rotarian for a long time. You notice I started with 3 comments about Rotary, one of which was serious. I mean it about the salad bar, Jim. But I'll tell this story about Dan Goldthwait. Dan was a member of my church in Oshkosh for years. And he was a good friend. We knew each other well. He was a member of the choir. And he loved music. But I used to tease him because he was an opera fan. He would sometimes pay money to go to the movie theater in Oshkosh on Saturday afternoon because they streamed in opera like from New York City. The man paid money to see opera. And it baffled me. And so, so I teased him about it a lot. And at his funeral, I was talking about him. I knew him, things that we shared. And I said, Dan Goldthwait loved music. He also loved opera. Okay. And people who knew that I knew Dan, I got a better laugh at the press than you, but that's okay. But I used the same line at a funeral I did a month later for a woman I had only known because I visited her in the nursing home. Didn't know any of her family. All the people at the funeral had no connection with me. They didn't know anything about this. I said, Martha loved music and she loved opera. And that's the reaction I got. So thank you. Thank you for helping prove my point. So at the PW gathering, I spoke at the National Presbyterian Women's Gathering in 2015. The title was Laughter's Healing Art, which comes from a hymn, Help Us Accept Each Other. And so after I spoke at 2015, I asked if I could speak again. They meet every 3 years, and they said, yeah, but you need new material. So, I really would rather just given the same presentation over and over. But then I realized a couple things. My mother is the funniest person on the planet, and she's a Presbyterian woman. So I built a presentation about there she is, but she's here in person, so we'll skip that slide because better looking in person. Marge is the second best name for a Presbyterian woman. There is a better name. You see the hint up there? This woman was a member of the First Presbyterian Church in Wyowega, Wisconsin. No guesses? Cookie. Cookie is the best name for a Presbyterian woman because that's what fuels us, cookies. So here are some of the things that I grew up hearing, and so did my brother. We're not poor, we just don't have any money. That's not really funny, that's true. When I moved off to start on my own, she gave me her lasagna recipe and took me aside and said, this is a bulb, this is a clove, used for cloves of garlic. I can't tell you how many guests she saved with that little gem. Yeah, this is true. Actually, I said that once in Chicago. I forget where I was. I picked something up free, and I said, if it's free, take it. And the guy behind me said, no, if it's free, take it, then sell it. I said, yeah, well, you're not from Peoria. We're a little softer down here. This is, I think, wonderful. Remember The Passion of the Christ, the movie starring Mel Gibson? Or no, that Mel Gibson directed. He wasn't in it. Someone asked her what she thought about it. The book's better. The Bible's better than the movie, Mom. That's the point you were making. Okay. It's funny. This is one I use all the time. At my bank, they're always raising money for something, and they always word it poorly. Would you give money for breast cancer? No, I'd give money to fight breast cancer. Well, yeah, so this is something. And one of the things I love to do is say funny things that people don't get right away. It's like you plant a seed or a landmine. I don't know, depends on. Love this one. The sign says employees must wash hands. So Mom waited a long time, and then she figured, I can wash my own hands. This is a sign between Madison and Oshkosh. See, most people read clean as an adjective, right? Mom saw it as a verb. Not just a verb, a command. Right? So we didn't stop at the mobile station in Rosendale. No. Now you can't, this is my favorite, and actually this one didn't happen. I just pretended my mother did this. The sign on the back of the toilet says, "Only toilet tissue may be flushed down the toilets." Now you know what they mean, right? You know what they mean, but that's not what it says. So this is the bathroom in the Frame Memorial Presbyterian Church in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. I always have my camera with me because I always find funny things in bathrooms. So I took a picture of this. But when I was done, I walked up to the pastor and said, "Susan, I found a workaround." And she said, "What are you talking about?" "Well, you know, the sign." "What sign?" "The sign on the toilet." She didn't know. I peed in the sink. So this is really interesting. If I'm standing in Adams County, Wisconsin, when I take this picture, I am not in Waushara County yet. Before I am welcomed to Waushara County, I am instructed to report a crime. Now, Waushara County is not a place where you expect to be a crime victim, right? But they're ready for it if it happens. Oh, look at this. It went backwards. Jeff, I blame you. Okay, so here's another thing that you probably didn't know this word Mondegreen. It's a misunderstood song lyric. Okay, all of us have had this happen. We're singing a song, we think we know the words, we don't, and we're shocked when we learn what the real words are. The classic, the best known one is Jimi Hendrix singing, "Excuse me while I kiss the sky," but it sure sounds like he's saying, "Excuse me while I kiss this guy," which in 1970 was really edgy. Okay, so there's a word for misunderstood song lyrics, and it's Mondegreen, and it comes from this poem by Robert Burns. "Laid him on the green" sounds a whole lot like Lady Mondegreen. Okay, again, more than you needed to know, but it introduces this wonderful set of, this is my last bit. Oh, look at this, you guys are gonna get out early. So, and let me just point out, I'm a Presbyterian minister, okay? I get big props for letting people out early, okay? So, okay, this is Bill. Bill's a member of my Rotary Club. He's been a member of the Rotary Club, not since it was founded in 1917, but pretty close. Bill was a pharmacist. Everyone in town knew him. He had a stroke. And the only thing he lost was his ability to speak. But he was really depressed. He just felt like he just sat around the house all the time. And he could drive, he could come to Rotary, he could eat, he could do everything except talk. So his wife sent a message to the board. I was a board member at one of these, that one. And she said, "Could you give Bill a job? Basically, could you give Bill a reason to leave the house 2 hours a week, please?" So, we're sitting around and everyone knows and loves Bill, and someone said, "Let's make him the assistant greeter." So we would have someone who had, he had a badge about this big that said greeter, and I always felt like, is that for the hearing impaired? It's like, greeter. And then Bill would stand next to them, and that person would say, "Good morning, welcome to Rotary. Good morning, welcome to Rotary. Good afternoon, welcome to Rotary." And Bill would stand there and shake the person's hand. Works really well. I did not hear, "Let's make Bill the assistant greeter." I heard, "Let's make Bill the assistant breeder." So you can imagine where my mind went. First of all, who's he assisting and can I get on that committee? Right, that was my first thought. Second was, if this is not the best way to strengthen the herd, right? Have Bill be the B team for breeding. He's 90, he just had a stroke. And then I thought, okay, I bet we're the only club in America trying to address membership loss this way, right? So I think that's the end. Oh, some other Mondegreens. The Episcopals usually like to find the butt dust funny. Presbyterian, not so much. This is good. See, you can always, and here's why, I think this is the last one. No. That's really a Yogi Berra one. I'm going to go back to this one. This is one of those things that I love, because when you make this response, the person either doesn't think you heard them, or you don't know what an autobiography is, or you weren't paying attention. And I love that moment of confusion when people are like, how do I respond to this? I just stand there and watch. So this last one really did happen. When I said, don't worry, Mom, she said, tell the sun to leave the sky. And if she'd sung it like Perry Como, it would have been a little more obvious, but that's a line from It's Impossible. So don't worry, Mom, it's impossible. But that's her gift. That's really what she's best at. So, and you really should respect people when they're really good at things, even if they're your mother, and even if it's guilt. The button says, oh my God, my mother was right about everything. Now, wouldn't it be nice if someone had gotten her that? No, she bought that herself. What's for breakfast? There's a Coke and a Snickers bar, or a Milky Way bar, you know? Why can't we have Coke for breakfast? In this house, you have bacon and eggs for breakfast. Well, in my house, we have Coke and candy bars. I was about 40 when I got to do that, finally. Again, she loves that. Okay, I guess this is the last slide. We all have the same language. We don't have to be taught to laugh. Laughter is social. Peoria is a good place for a humorist to be from. And Mondegreens is a misinterpretation of lyrics. 5 things, 5 takeaways from today's Rotary meeting. And now I'm done, right, Jeff? I have no more. Okay, so good.